Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Fringes Podcast, where we invite people from the arts, entertainment, and creative industries to celebrate the authentic, the human, and the flawed. I'm your host, Andreas Bugeja, joined by my co host, Jamie Gott.
Hello.
Our first guest for today, Justine Thea.
Hello, hello.
And the man on the chair, Sean Vella, who's
Hello.
taking
Man on the
care
chair.
of all our audio. Since this is the first podcast, giving a brief about Fringes, it is basically a magazine publication by the University of Malta. As stated in the intro, this year we decided to go with a celebration of kind of the slow living, the authentic, the eccentric, the against the grain, and we are focusing on that. It's a magazine that's published every year, I believe, for 37 years. People might be mad at me for saying the incorrect date, but I think that's right.
No, I think should be right.
And basically, we've invited Justine here to discuss kind of on the theme of the magazine, but basically what it is to be a student, to be someone who's working, and someone who also pursues art, which in the case of Justine is music, basically. A lot of the viewers might know her from the popular show, or very popular show, Not Against the Grain, X Factor. But I'm sure as we'll get to know today, there's much more to know about her than that. Most of us are in the communications course. We actually formed part of the marketing team of the magazine. So we're all in-house here.
Yes, we
all
are.
are.
Yep.
And I guess we can start off that, like... how is it? How do you manage? I mean, personally, I also work as a part-time, but that drives me insane. How do you manage to even, like, I see you go to gigs, rehearse, you went on a show that I think is really tasking. Like, how do you manage to find time for that?
I don't. No,
No
honestly.
sleep.
Honestly, I don't. I'm so sleep deprived. I think this is the most tense I've been in my life.
Do
Honestly.
you work part-time as well?
I work part-time.
And, you
And-
do the music thing as well?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's like very difficult coping with work part-time. I mean, still it's 20 hours, but like full-time school is like my priority. I'm still a student. So all of this is like new to me. And being in my final year at university, this was not the best decision. But on my way here, I was actually thinking about it. I was like, if I'm actually going to do this now, it's better that I've done it now in third year, because knowing me, if I had done it first year or second year, I would have dropped out of uni.
Yeah, now,
For
now
sure.
like you can't. You're like too close
Now
to
I'm
the
like,
end.
I'm way too into
Yeah, you're
it,
too
you know?
close. Like,
And even thesis-wise, I was halfway down. I was like, I can't stop now, you know?
yeah.
So it's very difficult. I mean, even with exams period, January was like the busiest month. So thankfully, we didn't have that much lectures, because obviously it was mainly electives. And so I could have focused more on the whole X Factor show kind of thing. But then I still had to finish assignments. I still had to go to work. It's difficult. It's not the easiest thing. Kiko with university wasn't in the picture. It would have been a little bit more easier. There were a lot of other contestants that had families and kids and all of this. It was difficult because you're in a group. I was in a group. So obviously you need to find time together, and like we all have different schedules, different private lives. I mean, in my case, two other members, they had a full-time job. One of them was studying to become a lawyer, so like it was tough. It was tough, but no probs, we're getting there.
You'll find
So
time for
3 more
everything.
months.
Did you intend to do X Factor this year, or you just
No.
stumble into it? Like you shot
No.
your shot and like it was there.
To be fair, I wanted to get into the whole music industry where I was 16 years old, so that was 10 years ago. But to be fair, my parents never supported it, because they were like, you're too young to do this. So I was like, let me try something else. So X Factor Malta wasn't here yet. And so I applied. But previously, because of COVID, there was Malta's Got Talent instead. Anyway,
Actually, not to stop you, but I'm seeing Jamie open
I
the
know.
beer. And I would like to thank Beerhead for actually giving us some beers to...
Thank you.
Even Sean has one. We cater for everyone. We would also like to thank Shadina Rentals for the camera equipment, the lenses, everything, and Lighthouse for the venue to actually record.
Thank you.
This is lovely beer, by the way.
It is
back
very
to
good.
back to Justine.
And so basically I had applied for X Factor UK. I had one audition and I had gotten through. But my father was like, we can't be going back and forth. It's not feasible. So I was like, okay. He was like, anyway, you're young, so you're still
You
young
can't
and
live
doing it.
alone, yeah.
When was this? Did you feel age?
So I was 16 going to 17. So I just started my first year, sixth form.
Wait, you
That's
could
strong.
apply to X Factor UK.
Yeah, because we were still part of the E EU.
And you got accepted,
Ah.
ġifieri, and
Yes.
you were hindered. I mean, to be fair, like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I guess it's a very, like, old school thing. So kind of focus on your studies right now. You
Yeah.
can't
Eżatt.
afford.
Uh-huh.
And in the long run, you ended up doing it anyway, so...
As in, he was right, technically.
No, he was right. But the
actually
thing
right,
is, even in the
coincidentally.
music industry, that's prime time.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
You need to start working on that. I'm not saying I'm old, Emma, considering two artists that start in that industry. It is considered a bit.
factor in Maltese culture, kollu.
Yeah,
They were
that's
raised
true.
different time, u hekk,
That's
so
true, that's true.
they're not used to the whole like
No, they're
globalization,
not.
I guess. Like we're all more connected.
It's a
That's true.
situation of if what, like, you can't really say for certain what would have happened. I mean,
No.
granted on paper, maybe X Factor UK sounds better, being at a better age, but I don't know, maybe like something you can consider also is having the maturity, the mental capacity to, even though you're more busy. Because, I mean, like, one of the contestants, I think, was a 15-year-old, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying like you're not mature or something like that, but me at 15 years old, although that would have been the thrill of my
Mhm.
life, I think there would be so much to process.
Mhm.
Being at university, even though I have much more to do, is like it's something, for example, that I experienced with university. I went late into university, but I'm thankful for that because I actually I was really prepared. Although I felt like a fish underwater when I went to communications team.
Of course.
And I'm like with back pain sitting on the chair in lecture theatre.
Yeah,
and seeing
chairs are
everyone,
not
18-year-olds with all the smile on their face. I'm
Those
like,
idiots not knowing what they're getting into, they're just
They
walking
don't
in.
know, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is difficult. I came in as a mature student as well. I was like, lallu. I'm gonna be so socially awkward about it all because I mean, how old are they when you get into university? 18 usually, if you
18,
don't repeat a year
yeah,
or
exactly.
something. So I'm like, I'm gonna
Mature
be
student
old.
is 23. Or 22?
Yes,
Yes,
it's 22.
yes,
I'm like,
yes.
how old was I?
Ah, yeah,
think
so there's there's like five years
Mhm.
age gap, yeah.
And that's the thing, not to go on too much to a tangent about this, but kind of, you tend when you're, at least I did, I'm like, I'm going to be a lone wolf because I know I'm not going to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just going to focus on university to do my thing. It's going to be 3 years, and it actually turned out like I made a decent couple of friends, you end up integrating, and although find someone who's younger might think a little bit differently, there is a bit of common ground, you know.
Yeah. I think if you go into it with that mentality, like if you go purposefully trying to meet people, integrate,
Mm-hmm.
it would actually probably be weirder.
Probably.
Like once you go into not intending to do certain things, and those things just happen.
But that's how life is.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Every time you plan
exactly.
something, it doesn't
Yeah.
actually come into action. So.
It's weird because like you have to work hard to do to achieve your dreams and stuff like that. But I think the harder you work on certain things, like the less it rewards. Like if you go
Yep.
specifically into you need to do
Yep.
to meet people, you
And
might
I
not integrate as well.
Mhm.
And I think that's a reflection of like how you
Trying
process
too
it
hard.
mentally, because like not to go too philosophical, but trying hard is something that in the end is something we perceive how hard it is. So like
Yeah,
it's
so-
not physically hard to do,
Mhm.
Plus,
So-
what's difficult for you isn't difficult for
Exactly.
for me or
So
for her.
when you don't try hard to do something and let it come naturally,
That's
it
what-
actually shows how much you know or how much you want to do it, kind of.
yeah.
I feel like if you're really trying hard for something, like a thesis literature review or something, it shows how much you don't want to do it or how difficult you actually find it.
Yeah, but that thesis literature review is kind of different. Like that's just something you have to suck it up, get
I
through.
would have
like,
most probably given up hope on that
Yeah,
ages
yeah.
ago.
There's no one that just excellent at that. You just have to suck it up, like like empty or bucket of nonsense into the paper and just move on.
Bullshit or your way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah,
cut
I
that
saw-
out.
I said nonsense,
No,
not say
it's fair.
bullshit, but I guess we're using it now. Your bucket of bullshit, just pour it in and see what sticks.
That's that. See if it gets
Yeah.
approved by your tutor.
Yeah.
Manka, like, so kind of going back on theme, I find it very interesting because what we're saying also is one of the brand values, which is being authentic and kind of eccentric. And for me, like, I feel like the people who really excel at their stuff, especially stuff that is not considered normal, be it, playing on vinyl, playing a weird instrument, doing drag, taking analog photography, the people who are really, really good at this do it without kind of betting an eye. I mean, there is effort. I'm not discrediting the effort they do.
You just end up into it, bitch. It just leads there.
Exactly, and maybe even you can talk about this, but I don't know if like I'm not saying all music comes to that, but maybe there's like a specific song or genre that to you kind of comes out naturally, or isn't it the case for you?
Well, not exactly. Like, I'm just gonna get the example of X Factor because it's the main thing that happened to me recently that I figured out myself more. I was more like this R&B kind, but I've realized it's not for me. I can't sing that type of music. It's like I enjoy listening to that music, but I can't sing it. So now I'm more of a like soul kind of music that I would have to sing to. But this is it's something that comes with experience. Once you get to know your voice more, you'll understand what you're good in, what you're not so good in, and like the notes you can reach if you're more of a soprano or an alto. So those things that come eventually by experience and like having mentors that will actually guide you throughout that. But I mean, I enjoy singing any type of music, like, and listening to any music whatsoever, as long as it's not metal. But I'm down.
It's weird for me because I think I've had a phase where I've listened to every genre of music. The most thing I've shied away from is I like to call it radio music. Like, and once I didn't have a phone, I forgot what the context is, or I was washing a car, maybe an hour and a half job, and I left the radio on. They played that Dua Lipa Elton John song, I swear, like 5 times. Five
yeah.
times.
Mela, this was recently.
Recently. And
How
I'm
did
like,
Elton John agree to that? That's the first question.
I just heard the camera click, which scares me. But
I think the shutter closed.
Should we check it?
yes, maybe we'll
Take a look at the guy in the chair.
we're going to have Sean, our guy in the chair, look at it. Take a
I'm
break.
gonna have a
on it.
little drink.
Yes, go for it.
All right, John, provataas.
To keep the conversation going, since this is celebrating the eccentric, the flood, it's on standby.
I mean, we are
press the
celebrating the
button.
flood right now.
Exactly.
COVID, or like during COVID, did you end up finding yourself singing more, for example, because you were like you had more time, more free time, you were at home? As in not free time, but like you were at home more.
It's really funny because actually, no. I mean, we have a piano at home and it's right in the middle of the house. So if I play this piano, it's going to echo everywhere.
You're gonna interrupt everyone.
And I mean, I have my parents and my sister and me. And the four of us have different characters. Meta ngħidilkom different characters. We were like aggressively communicating during the lockdown period. It was insane. It was insane. So, and then after I got the electric piano, which was a little bit too late. But no, I didn't manage to do any music stuff. The only thing I actually did was work out, get up at 4 in the morning, and sleep at 7 in the evening.
Why?
I think the whole
I slept more
routine-
during COVID.
pardon.
I just slept more. I slept late. I just ruined my sleep schedule.
I
I'd sleep
did.
at like
I
3 a.m.
did.
Wake up at like
I did.
6. Yeah.
In fact, I got really sick, and I was like, I can't take it anymore. At one point, I did for COVID tests, thinking that I have COVID, but it was actually like the constant headaches of like the whole sleeping schedule. It was insane. I literally went crazy because I could not cope with everything was going. Emat was still a new thing. Like I'm not used to being at home 24/7, and
Yeah.
like now being at home constantly with 3 other family members, constantly being there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Andreas is back.
I'm back. I fixed
Welcome.
the card was full. It's a technical error of the first podcast, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's adding to the
It's
to
the
the
flood.
to the
Some
flood.
spice.
Flood.
And I think we should be authentic and leave the
Exactly.
fuck up in,
leave
I
it
guess.
in. Me bending over trying to fix the.
yeah.
But
I mean,
back to this COVID thing. Actually, got COVID and spent 2 weeks in quarantine
Mhm.
over the Christmas period.
Of this year.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But it was actually like, I swear, so relieving just to be like alone, kind
Yeah.
of. I was with a friend, and it's just chill. It's just someone you're like with like-minded with, and yeah, it was really relieving. Even though it was Christmas and I couldn't do all that stuff anywhere.
Mhm.
As I could work on uni if I wanted to.
Mhm.
I cooked
If you
my own
wanted to.
stuff.
If
Not that you did.
I
What I
cooked-
noticed really about COVID is everyone reacted to it very differently. As example, initially when it was first happening, like the first few weeks, as example, I didn't notice that COVID like was
Mhm.
happening because me and my friend just went on like PlayStation. We just play so like it was like me and my friends were meeting every night. Like we'd spend the night playing, go back. So
But is that the normal thing for you then?
no, like back then I used to play a bit more. I guess like now it's basically 3 years ago. No,
Yeah.
fucking hell. But yeah. Yeah, so initially we used to play, but there we just ended up playing more, like who had something to sink ourselves into. But then looking at other relatives, like like my brother who was younger, who didn't play as much, like he felt the effect more,
Mm,
you know.
okay.
And like I would tell by like friends I know, like for example, I don't know if I'm generalizing here, but at least from my experience, like girls tend to struggle a bit more because like they didn't have games to play, or like they
I
didn't end up
have a
playing more.
PlayStation.
So like
you have
So
yeah, no, at least from
radical,
I
dude.
can't.
yeah.
I can't.
At least from the experience of my friend group, it was like at first the guys were just like especially okay, you're just staying at home, we're playing, But like the girls used to go out, meet more often, like go to each other's house. Like they actually struggled with that because there was like a giant part of their life that was like cut off. So yeah, it's interesting to see how everyone was affected differently. Like some people like sunk their head into their work, others procrastinated from uni, like me and Andreas probably. I don't know, man in the chair. Procrastinated
I
as well.
always procrastinate from uni.
Yeah,
I
but
actually
Same.
think
COVID thing made it worse for me at least.
No,
I
it
actually
didn't.
think I procrastinated worse. Less because I didn't have any much more to do. Kind of, I was there at home. One of
That
the
is
ways to
true.
spend time is to actually do your assignments. You
Yeah,
know?
I caught on to that but much later. Like, I know COVID happened when we were first year. Second semester essentially didn't happen.
Yes. Half
Like-
of our uni
Exactly.
experience
Yeah.
is online, basically.
The majority now, because last semester I had to go online again. So we've done
Literally.
3.5 semesters.
The only university we had was first semester, first year. That was it.
Yeah, and now this time.
And now, but like,
So essentially first semester, first year, and last semester, third year, basically.
Technically, third year though, first semester we were.
Yeah, but it got
That's
cut
the
half
only-
short. Oh yeah,
the
but
man in
but
the
yeah.
chairs
Yeah.
announcing
Yeah.
something.
But yeah, but the point is really, after a while I caught on to that. Really, like I was so fucking bored, like nothing to do. I was like, might as well actually do this assignment now, just to have something to do, like
and
which I
it's,
never thought would happen.
it's actually interesting because I mean we're taking it from students' perspective, but I feel like if you look at businesses, and once again I'm going to go back to kind of the arts, which are the most featured in with the Fringes team, and I think it was a big opportunity for the small individual to prosper. Because although some of them were really hit hard and they had to go out of business, especially the people who are based on social media, they could really like put the effort in,
That's true.
display their work kind of, and they were really, I felt like some of them were really doing well, and some of the most popular people who, but I mean not the most popular because I guess our focus is more on the little guy, to put it like that, but yeah, especially from my side, I followed much more people who I wouldn't have kind of if I didn't spend the time on social media, I guess.
The cool thing with college really, there was more eyes on social media back then because everyone was just
Mm.
so bored. You just
And TikTok bloomed
yeah, TikTok
at
was a
that
major
point in
thing.
time.
Yeah.
So
But like Instagram, for example, there was such little things happening. Like usually people post about going out, nice picture of the beach or whatever. There was such little. At a point, there was just like you scroll and you're like you've seen it for the past 3 days. You know when that comes up. Yeah. There was so much of that. Really, anything that a new like an up and coming company posted, you'd see it just because there was nothing else to see. So it was good. It was a good ground for them to do that.
So bad for me. My previous phone literally had the TikTok Plus burnt into the screen. It was literally burnt. If you leave a white screen on, you could literally see
You watch
Oh
that
my
much
God.
TikTok.
The
You know,
TikTok
I never
icons.
downloaded TikTok.
It happens
Same.
when you
I never
forget
got
it's
into
too
it.
too
Same.
bright. No, but it's such a like time consumer.
You know, I'm one of those people that any TikToks I see were the good ones that made it to Instagram.
Mhm.
But it's like,
Otherwise,
let's take the unfortunate event that's happening right now, the whole Ukrainian war.
Mhm.
I swear I get more information on TikTok than any news media site. It's live. Literally start scrolling and
Yeah.
60% of the videos are about it, and it's like so informative.
But that's technology for
Yeah,
you.
but
yeah, it's
And that's
interesting.
technology.
Now that we're on the subject, is like, nowadays we're fighting like war, like in completely different to however it was fought before. Like before they get any sort of news, you know, you'd wait for the papers, you'd
Yep.
wait for, like even to take pictures back then, like they had to, you know, it was a big thing. Now you can just go on Twitter and you're like instantly seeing people run away, like
Yep.
houses falling, stuff like that. Which, I mean, there's
crazy.
also, it has to be said that there's a lot of room for false information,
Definitely, and fake
propaganda,
news.
manipulation, and everything. But at least in theory, there's the possibility of like seeing stuff unfold. Like
yeah.
right. In fact, I have seen videos before they were even on the news.
Mhm.
You know, like the news captured
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah.
from there later.
Especially local news, which is
I
constantly
don't
on.
watch
Definitely.
local news.
This
Uh,
somehow did impact me though with regards to like music wise,
Hmm.
because it's a question of what's gonna happen in a week, what's gonna happen in 3 days, because this thing erupted a week ago. Look how much has happened, and like now I'm at a stage where I'm not saying that I have a lot of exposure, but I would like to put myself more within the music industry. And now I'm at a point where, like, should I push myself for? Am I going to die in a month's
Yeah, is
time
there gonna
because
be a
of the
music
war?
industry to
Is
push
there going to
myself
be
in?
anything? Am I
Yeah.
going to be, you know, like, will I have enough funds to be able to do that at this point? Because I need to focus more on, like, my family, my friends, and, like, it's a situation where now COVID has, like, passed us, and we're now in a whole new different atmosphere with
Yeah,
the
we
whole.
can't like.
It's
Can't
like,
catch a
when are
break,
we
huh?
going to have
As in, I'm not
Zach,
taking away from the Ukrainians and like the
no,
suffering
no,
and all
but
that.
exactly.
But
I mean, this is the reality we're living
it's
in.
like one thing after the other after the other.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy. And kind of speaking about catching the break, I think we'll have a small intermission,
Ooh,
and we'll get back real shortly.
perfect.
Okay, and hello and welcome back to the Fringes Podcast. So, we were talking about. What was I saying?
War.
War.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let's move on from
Not
that.
funny, but
I'm sorry, I'm
unfortunately,
laughing,
yes.
but like,
So I had a question for you, Justine.
Mhm.
So before, like, I've known you, like, I've known of you for a while, but I
Mhm.
didn't know that.
oh, of me, okay. Joking.
I mean, we're in the same course. It's been 3 years. Like,
Yes.
I've known of your existence.
Thank you.
And and like I didn't really know much that like you were a singer, like maybe
Mhm.
I don't know, the occasional story post or
Yes.
whatever, but like I didn't know that you were singing until this whole X
Mhm.
Factor thing about it.
Mhm.
Did you try to like not boast it in a way where you're like a bit conservative about it, or you're like maybe shy about putting it on social media or something like that, or
Well, I'm quite a shy person, to be fair. Like, X Factor has boosted my confidence a lot on so many levels, because I've tried doing new things. I've been meeting new people, so it's obviously like it has to come. I mean, confidence has to come by time. So eventually, I'm learning to get more confidence about it. But no, I was quite shy about posting everything on social media, to be fair. Sat naqra, to be fair, my family and friends as well, they did not have a clue that I was applying for X Factor. And I had been already, I think, halfway in the competition. I think I was already in judges' houses when people started learning that I'm actually on the show. And my audition had just aired. So, I wanted to do that. I wanted to create that suspense. So I'm not that type of person, Yisma. I mean, I have no product of my own to share on social media or music or anything or lyrics. So it was quite difficult to actually start from somewhere and be like, Isma, no one knows me at all. I have no exposure whatsoever. So it's going to be very, very difficult. But I said, I'm going to take the opportunity, and like, I was always singing in the bedroom or in the bathroom. My parents telling me continuously, stop, we have a headache, it's enough, you know, so that was it. So I wanted to try something new, and, you know, like we got through the final. Top 10, baby.
yeah. So I think you would blame that on the shyness aspect of it, for example. Because even before, when you mentioned you like to play piano and sing, but the piano's in the middle of the house, so you don't do it because it feels weird. Like you'd have 3 people listening to you, like every slight mistake, every slight
No,
fuck
I
up they
mean,
hear about it.
even now, if I had to perform in front of my parents, I'd be pissing myself.
Why do you think it's so much weirder, or like so much more tense to perform in front of people you know
I
than like
don't
a
know.
crowd? Is
I
it because
don't
people
know.
like melt into the crowd, like you don't know them individually? So
To be
like,
fair, I was quite blinded with the whole light situation in my
Oh,
face
so you
when I
didn't-
was on stage,
you
so I
didn't-
did not have a clue.
I think that might be intentional, or
You didn't go
I
with the
don't know.
you didn't go with the classic picture, the naked
No.
movie.
It should have made you even more nervous. I don't know why
I
people
know,
say
I-
that.
I-
But
Just
even to
looking at
be
a sea of
fair,
naked people.
even to be fair, we have in-ear monitors, so even if people are clapping or shouting or screaming, you have no idea what's going on, like in the crowd. So honestly, it's once that I was actually looking at the videos back, I was like, lalo, people were actually enjoying it. Because at one point I was saying, I'm like, but are people enjoying it? But then I saw them getting up and all of this. But
But so if it
Yes.
had to be a smaller audience, like not to take X Factor, sorry. We'd say like if it's a small gig
Yep.
in a bar or something. Which is that as weird because it's like a smaller audience? You can see the
No.
people individually,
No.
or no?
because if, for example, now you're gonna know the secret, but people
We'll
know
blur
me.
it. We'll
People will know me like as a person that has sung in front of people, like quite a large audience. Going from my bedroom to singing in front of 2,000 people, that's like something that I've never imagined in my whole life.
Plus the people watching from home.
As that, so thank you for adding that. But so people will every time they see me at a bar or something or doing a gig, they'll think that I'm still fine with it singing in front of people, but in reality, I'm not saying I'm uncomfortable. I am fine, but in reality, I'll be like, okay, do not forget the lyrics, make sure not to fall off stage, and all of this. So things are still like
There's so much to process.
still. And then at one point, we had the last gig, and that we have previously done, and basically we had the sound system. It was quite terrible. So every time that one of us was singing, we're like, are you even listening to us? The monitor was not working. We couldn't hear the music. But we were like, act cool, be like, this is all technical issues, and like, it is what it is. Like, you can't do nothing
I
about
mean, you
it.
have to
but-
carry it on.
Of course.
Sound man, Sean is showing us a picture of Freddie Mercury.
He is.
With the show must go on.
That.
So is the fact that people expect you to be good at it, like expect you to not be nervous, like if in your head you're thinking that the people aren't expecting you to like mess up, does that make you more comfortable? For example, like did it help the fact that you were immediately put into the deep end with like 2K plus people watching?
It doesn't help. Because Maltese people on social media, they're not the kindest.
But social media is crap everywhere. Like
But still, this was my first ever thing being in front of people.
yeah,
So,
fair enough.
it's like whatever comment there was, I'm like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, how am I going to please people more? Like, on a TV show, you need to please people because you need to get the votes to
Yeah.
eventually win. Alavolja, that was not my intention at all to win. I needed the money, yes, but I wasn't in it for the money eventually. I was there to gain actually the experience.
Some exposure,
I
obviously,
need.
from being there.
Exposure, but mainly to gain experience in the music industry, like what needs to be done, which I think it helped a lot. It helped, but I mean,
I know
We're
that
here.
you got the experience. How are you kind of carrying it on with you? I mean, I've seen that you've done some gigs here and there. Like, do you tend to do more? What from that experience is like? You mentioned confidence, which is one. So it's like, no, I'm confident. Like, I know what to expect. Is there anything else except for maybe the obvious, better having a mentor, how to sing and stuff like that? Like, what's helping you move forward in the music industry, especially local?
no. First of all, I think the worst that could have happened has already happened. So from here it's onwards and upwards.
What do you mean by worse, if I may ask?
like I could have stopped at the audition, for example, at my first audition, I forgot my lyrics. Like that was already a whole other scenario. When I got 4 yeses, just the same. I mean, the
and that
voice
was
was there, the lyrics was not.
and that was due to you being nervous because it
Me
was your
being
first
nervous,
time.
yes.
Exactly.
I was like, this is the first time that people within the music industry are actually gonna judge me. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's gonna be good or bad, because the rest, my boyfriend just heard me, my parents heard me, but that was it.
Yeah, and family relatives are still gonna be like, yeah, that's good. You know, they're gonna be like,
Azad.
that's crap. Stop.
I just
you know?
as that. So they're not gonna tell you.
I
They
mean,
have
it's
to be
true, like,
nice.
you have to you have to be
As
supportive.
that.
Like,
I mean, imagine your sister or your brother like eventually told you, "How is my singing?" I'd be like, but it's good.
yeah.
It's not the advice I want. I want like
yeah.
be straight up.
I feel like there are people who I'm close to, who I'm just like, if it's something important to them, and I know it's like,
Yeah, yeah. As
dude,
in,
like,
yeah. I doubt they'll be like, they know you're terrible, and they'll be like, yeah, go ahead. You know.
but with family it's stuff. Like with
Yeah.
family, it's always stuff. And I think it's not just with, well, particularly with arts, and I say arts in a very broad
Mhm.
term, but it's something for people of an older generation. It's so hard for them to understand. And I'm
It
not saying we
is.
won't be the same. But you know, the traditional, the norm is you study or you work and you just move through like, pursuing something like music, like illustration, like all of these things, sculpture, whatever it might be, even NFTs nowadays. Like at
It
least,
is. No, it is.
but it's like it's so not shunned upon, but I feel like it's the only thing that parents, you mention it to them and they're like, how about
This is
take
not only
physics
that.
instead?
As that.
Yeah.
No, honestly. Like even now, I was thinking of applying for my master's abroad. My mom's like, "Why are you going abroad for the master's? Why don't you do it in Malta,
And
for
it's still
example?"
academic.
And it's
Yeah.
still academic. But if my friends do it, it's fine. It's just I'm the problem. I'm
Yeah,
the
That's
but I
problem.
think that's just the
So,
So, but
that's,
I have-
yeah, that's just the clingy aspect
Yes.
of you know family members. Like your mom would want you to stay close. Like I experienced. I literally said the same thing. Like I'd want to go do it abroad, blah blah blah. But like she's like, I mean, I want to do it here. And like you can't really argue with that because you know it's close. You don't need to pay a fortune to do it.
Definitely.
But it's about the experience, which they don't. I don't think they fully understand. Because I mean, we grew up. Know exactly what's happening in Germany, in Italy, in England. We're like fully caught up with everything. Like news happens in England, we laugh at it in Malta. You know, they didn't grow up like that. To them, living in the UK, living in Germany is like really far away still, and we don't feel that. We're like connected to it.
And that's kind of weird for me because I actually grew up with a dad who was always reckless, adventurous, and kind of like, so it's kind of pushed. And my mom was as a person who, even at the time, went abroad to work at 19 in Germany. So she's like, every chance you get, travel. She was so like, Mela, like go for it.
You say you
Like,
got cool parents.
so as such, yes, and norm sense, I got cool parents. That said, I feel like still certain stuff that I pursue that are out of the norm. For example, I'm really into tattoos. Like if I had the money, maybe people wouldn't be looking the same. Not neck up because I'm seeing the sound guy doing this. But
Like Conor McGregor style, like with the crown showing on the neck.
but I like them, and I feel like there's nothing wrong with them. Like I understand why companies would ask you to hide them, stuff like that. That's fair enough for me. Like, and I'm the person that if need be, I'll buy one of those touches of like makeup that you smear to cover tattoo, and I'll do that. I used to go to summer with a long sleeve, after I got my tattoo, but like, there's something that's really hard for them to comprehend. If you just went, you got a tattoo, you spent, 100, 200, 300, maybe 1,000 euro, and it's art, and it's for me, for example, it's a way to express myself, like many other art forms are. And I guess it's a generational thing, but then I say it, and then I think maybe when I'm 50 years old, even if I don't want to, there's going to be something that I don't like what the younger generation is doing.
It's interesting with tattoos because tattoos is an art form, but you're not the one doing the art. You're the one carrying the art. Like, especially
But when you have a painting in your house, it's not yours either.
yeah,
you know?
it's odd. But like you, for example, like your tattoo, like it's cool. But like you didn't do the art. You just like the art and you're carrying it on you.
Do you have tattoos,
It's really
Justine?
interesting.
I do. I have two. And after 4 years, after 5 years, I told my parents that I have a tattoo.
After making it.
After like I had one made in Sweden and then the other one made in Malta. Like you're saying, my parents. I mean, my mom mostly, she's more like piercings and tattoos. She's more put back about it. But I had to tell her after 5 years of doing it, it's on my body now, so it's there.
On air, there's one tattoo, which is my fourth one, that my parents don't know about. I won't say it.
Are your parents going to see this?
Maybe, possibly.
I mean, it's like,
Interesting.
now you'd know if they actually listen to it. 'Cause if
Exactly.
they don't say anything, you're good.
I'll
Imagine.
get strip saged.
So just I wanted to ask you. So if there's someone listening who would like to, pursue a singing career or something similar in those lines, for example, what would you recommend? Like, what would be the process you'd recommend? For example, would you say, Illy, you found it harder or easier being in front of such a big audience so early on? Like, would you rather have like slower audiences and like gradually build up, or is it better to be thrown into the deep end?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Like if you had a choice.
I think it's more or less, it would depend on the person. Like, I think I was at a point in time where I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. Tough keef, it might either go really bad and be like,
After you spend so long thinking about something, you just
I might either be a meme on some type of social media, or else it might be
which is still quite an honor nowadays.
but it might be the best thing that happened to me. But I think it would more or less depend on the person and like what country they're in. Because, for example, in Malta, we've grown a lot from where we were a few years back, but we're still a little bit limited when it comes to this. That might be because it's a smaller country. Because then if you're going abroad, the country is much bigger, the competition is wider.
You'll get lost in the people.
You'll get lost, as that. So I think it's nice that in Malta, for example, if people are given the chance, not the same faces are always being seen. Like, there are other artists that are like really, really good and people don't know about them. Like, it's insane. But I think, going back to your question, so I don't deviate from all of this, I think it will more or less depend on the person, like how confident they are in their work and what they do and what they produce in their music. I mean, not only music, but any art form. But if they prefer singing in front of a wider audience, then go for it. If you prefer starting off from a YouTube channel, doing it one-on-one and then going from there.
That's a big aspect of actually, which we didn't discuss,
Because people don't consider, it's like TV. People don't take it into consideration.
For YouTube, my mind, at least the way I grew up, like, it doesn't go to like, if you want to like further a singing career, it doesn't occur to me to like go to YouTube. Because YouTube to me is like, for gaming, playing football, podcasts, that type of thing.
It's so varied because, you see people making it through so many different ways.
Yeah.
Even if you look, like, let's stick to music, if you look throughout history, like even way back when we didn't have internet, one person did it because they had rich parents. And then, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is like NWA and the rap scene and like Compton and how they
Sean agrees.
how they literally came out of nothing, and these people were facing violence and stuff like. And even nowadays, like some people, Malta's nowhere near to Compton, but it's a small and recognized country. And for example, I think one of the bands that I used to follow, I don't know if it's the same name or because they had changed it, but my memory, they're called Gen, and I think they went to the UK. They're not extremely popular, but they toured around and stuff like that. So sometimes you just have to go for it. You have to. I think with a lot of things, like one of the things that comes to mind also is streaming.
Yep.
It's like you have to just do it because you like it.
Exactly.
If you succeed, good for you. If not, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But there's it's luck, and there's like so many platforms. I mean, nowadays you can just go on TikTok and somehow get famous.
That's it.
It's also how people gel with you on social media. Like if you're putting out content, if people don't, don't like it, it's not gonna work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Okay. So, one final question, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
So what are some other interests you might have other than music? Anything you'd like to pursue in the future?
Apart from the masters abroad.
To be quite fair, għandi xorti ħanasal degree u forsi I've arrived now.
For the English users, I'm fortunate to even have gotten a degree. and I arrived where I came now.
Malia.
That's a bad
Listen,
translation.
no, I mean, right now I have so many things on my plate. I can't think of what's gonna happen like 5 years from now. But I mean, right now, what I'm aiming to do, if hopefully there would not be a World War III confirmation, I'd like to pursue my music for sure. Like actually get my songwriting and song music production like on the go more, and finalize school.
And actually, I have one last question.
Okay.
I have another one, last one.
And I think it's the same one. I have a feeling.
And following like music especially, how do you see yourself kind of standing out? How do you embrace like what we're featuring in Fringes, which is like this flawed, this real? How do you stay true to yourself? How are you at the same time being authentic and appealing to people? How do you see yourself doing that through music?
I mean, to be fair, after this whole experience, I don't think that I've changed as with regards to personality or character. So I try to stay true to myself, and I don't feel the way people see me, because even if, for example, I'm outside and people recognize me, for me, I'm still the same person I was 6 months ago. So for me, I'm still at university. I'm still doing my thesis. I'm still stressing out. And
Just
going
did some
through-
singing in between.
Exat. So, I think at least that's the most important thing. Knowing who your friends are, who you're keeping your family also close, understanding what needs to be done. So that obviously authenticity is always best, and keeping yourself in check constantly. And I take that opinion to myself as well.
So, when you were on X Factor, you were part of a group, no, if I'm not mistaken. Did that impact you in a way? Did it help you be more true to yourself, more authentic, or did you lose a bit of yourself to fit into a group that you were singing with?
I think it goes both ways. Not in the sense of I've lost myself within the group, but I think I had no experience. But the other two, Melusine and Didi within the group, they had experience. They went to Stagecoach, Masquerade, and all of this. I had nothing. I was singing in my bedroom, so I felt like I thought I had to take 3 steps back and be like, okay, so what's actually
Like,
going
what can
on?
I learn from them?
Exactly. And obviously, eventually, by time just to make it clear that this whole experience took from August up until February. So, January. So, obviously, through that time, you grow as an individual, not only within the group, but like you learn more from that experience, and like you would start getting to understand more what you should be doing and what not you should be doing. So I think that eventually helps you gain more confidence in what you're doing, and believing more in what you do, as both within a group and within the individual.
Cool.
I guess that's a wrap.
Yep. Thank you so much for
Wrap
being with
it
us,
up.
Justine.
Thank you
It was
for
a
having
pleasure.
me.
To the listeners.
Thank
for
you to
tuning in
the
for the
listeners.
first
Thank you to
podcast.
our
Yes.
sponsors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.